Happy Halloween to all of our ghouls and ghosts out there, among all of the things that go bump in the night. It's that festive time of year where the children don their fanciest of dress and go begging their neighbors for treats. But us adults stay inside and engage with the scariest shit you'll ever see in your life. So, what are we getting into today? Oh, Bloodborne. Maybe a little more spooky than scary, although I guess at times. Well, that's fine, but what's the run we're doing then? Am I gonna try to frenzy all of my enemies, cause them enough fear until they explode with blood all on their own? No? Then what's the challenge? Why does that nameplate say, "Worry not, I've come to test the mettle of this land of Yharnam"? Oh, fuck, it's you! I thought you were off having fun in Elden Ring. I tire of killing your fallen demigods. Hopefully these dark streets can offer me a proper challenge. And then some. Well, it is spooky season, so makes sense that you decide to come back now. Seriously, chat? The last time he was on the channel, he popped 3 extra doses of Zyacid and punched everything in the lands between to death with his bare hands. Kept saying, "These hands will do," the whole time. It was terrifying. Then I've chosen a wise time to return. So let's get through this. Howdy, Hey, that's my thing. Excuse me? I mean, can I do the intro? It's kind of my thing. Very well. There are fights to commence. Thank you, sir. Howdy, I'm Prakuza, and welcome to DevBox, where today we're asking if Bloodborne can catch these hands. Yeah, that. Now, while I'd normally hand the mic off to him for the rest of this run, we actually have a bit of setup to do before we can actually get started in earnest. So let's get there and work towards getting our primary weapon. Then he can take over after that. Alright, our first goal is to get to Old Yharnam, the beast-infected undercity buried below the city proper. However, in order to get there, we need to get past Gascoigne without a weapon. Now, while this is possible barehanded, and this mad lad gets closer than I ever expected to see, there are easier ways to get past Gascoigne at this point, without having a primary weapon to put in our right hand. To start, we need to explore the opening streets of Yharnam a bit more thoroughly, until we found the little girl looking for her mother and father so she can give us the music box. A bit strange for us to be knocking on the doors tonight, while a child drops a treat into our pillowcase. Is that a normal experience? Did anyone else go trick-or-treating with a pillowcase? With the music box in hand, we can triple play the little tune inside and force Gascoigne into his full beast form, where he's stronger, faster, has punishing distance closers that can wombo us to hell and back. Why did we do this again? Oh, right. Cool, glad this was super easy and didn't take very long at all. Yeah, it's kind of tough to actually get the timing and positioning right here. Maybe a little more than tough, in fact. This took fucking forever. But with that, we can finally head into Cathedral Ward and continue on down into Lower Undead, into Old Yharnam. Here we can find Jura, kill him very quickly and easily, and without any issues at all with our fists and a healthy dose of gravity. Definitely didn't take like 15 reloads in a row and finally got the necessary hit. But with that, now we finally have access to the Powder Keg Hunter's Mark, which allows us to pick up the Stake Driver. This will be our primary weapon for the rest of the run. Finally, my arm is complete. Who are you, Sweeney Todd? What was that? Nothing. Sir, go ahead. You can take it from here. Good. Let's find something to test these new hands on. Have at thee, wild beast! Rush not into battle unless you yourself are prepared for the bloodshed yet to come. Yes, rage with me on this field of flesh and bone. Let your heart explode with the righteous fury of battle. And know this, friend of fur and claw, that you shall be treated with no insult. When it is deigned, these hands shall do. A savage creature, frenzied by a gluttonous appetite for blood, so consumed that a spare bottle or two are enough to distract long enough for the power of these fists to do their work? Although I will not allow pride to diminish your own strength, creature, as your beastly might is more than I can even handle. However, when all is said and done, and we meet together, flesh against flesh, then let it be known, these hands shall do. A proper fight, even if not considered on equal terms with the beasts in their lairs at the end of these twisting streets. Even Eileen cannot help herself from joining in the destruction. A thrilling fight, and together the crow and I bring out the only acceptable ending. In that case, these hands shall do. I feel you, O vicar of this fallen cathedral. To be free from skin that had never felt to be your own. I wish only to honor you now, as our battle sends you to your grave. Though I beg of you, do not lay down easy. Do not allow this to end in a withering blow. Fight until the very end, through dark of night under this pale moon. Fight until the break of day, so that you might feel the sun's accepting embrace upon your new skin. Fight, and know now that these words are spoken with only respect. Because when it comes to putting you at peace, comrade, these hands shall do.
Fear the old blood.
Yeah, I'm here to pick up a prescription. Hands, these. You realize these are witches, right? Yes, like an apothecary, right? No, this is more like the evil women in the woods passing out poisoned apples to unsuspecting harlots. Ugh, such a man response. Shitting on a hard-working woman, looking out for herself in the forest. Also, Snow White was a saint. Congratulations on the view into your future. Never. Yeah, I give it like 2 more months on the testosterone. Never! Hands, the witch is eating your brain while we do this bit. Oh, right. Prepare to die. These hands shall do. Rah. Ah, a truly worthy fight for once. Something that might finally test these hands of mine. Yes! Break me, beast. Let our savage hearts beat together as one, drumming the tandem dirge of combat. A symphony of minor chords, sharp crescendos, exploding into fortissimo. Ah, you too have been holding back, only to show how your true strength dwarfs what had already bled me so viciously. Fine then, show me your true strength. Exactly! Force my hand, strengthen my heart in our joined crucible, and embrace your end at this power that you have carved into me. Rest well, beast that was once man. To give you peace, these hands shall do. For anyone curious why these hands decided to head into the DLC this early, it was to get the Fist of Grata, an absolutely useless left-handed weapon, but at least it gives his left hand something to do. But he's not a southpaw like myself, so don't expect this to really be used moving forward. Honestly, I don't even know what the fucking point of this weapon is. Why even stand in my path, if you refuse to be a true obstacle? Remove yourselves from my sight, weaklings. It almost disgusts me to waste such newly hardened fists on this. Regardless, these hands shall do. Kill it! Kill it with fire! Fuck. Hey, no more of that. YouTube gets testy if you've got too many of those lumped together. Oh, screw them. Ew. These hands shall do. Why the fuck was this the easiest time I've ever had against this guy? Second try. What the hell? Excuse me? Oh, sorry, didn't mean to step on your toes, but the Canehurst Crow is normally such a bastard I can barely even beat him without the cheese. They patched that years ago. Well, congratulations on being so useless. Hurtful. For me, this is a truly thrilling conflict between two hunters, putting our very blood on the line as we fight to determine where the true pinnacle lies. Either the vile blood weapon of unholy power, or my very own fists, empowered only by my own strength of heart. In this case, these hands shall do. Congrats on the kill, dude. A neat trip. Thank you. Despicable scoundrels! Have faith in your own strength and test yourselves against me fairly, damn you. Or perhaps I am asking far too much of such cowards. Fine, then we will meet kind with kind, and these hands shall do. Ew. These hands shall fucking... This land grows stranger with every step. What in the world even are you? A product of my fear-rattled mind? Or perhaps the true source of it? Well, know this nightmare beast, called from beyond to descend on us now. It is not a lack of fear that marks the worthy, but the willingness to face it. Hands blistering at the heat of it. So remember, you and your kin, these hands shall do. Coward! This is not the time to run, but to fight! Face me, damn you, and feel the fury of my fists! Yes, hand on hand, as all men should engage in righteous combat. This is what it means to live. He ran away again. Worthless, spineless scum of the earth, I will slaughter you like the fucking pig you are! Stand still and take the punishment for such cowardice! To put you in your place, these hands shall do!
Feel better?
I...
Want to go kill something easy? Let some stress out?
That would be... inappropriate.
Come on, let's go. I know exactly what you need.
Oh ho! Silence your screams, beast. You cannot hope to stand against the impeccable might of my fists. Yes, die! 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 These hands shall do.
See, wasn't that better?
Indeed. I will not pretend to enjoy this. Whether I'm killing a child or simply its caretaker, it is a cruel world that forces our hands in such a way. This has all gone above my head, but a loving mother asks only for her infant to rest, after centuries of this nightmare. So, to put all players in this ghoulish dance at ease, these hands shall do. It is done, my lady. You may go and finally rest with your child, as has been earned.
Howdy, Prakuza back here for a quick update on These Hands' pathing. Now that he's finished off Murgo, that puts the run at the end of the any percent, but we'll be doing all bosses, which means that the next few fights will be some cleanup, then into the DLC, and finally to the actual final fights. But with that said, I turn the mic back over to These Hands.
I have lost all consideration of what to expect from this world now. I fought gods, crushed astral beasts, but this one is straight up weird. Still, as odd as this opponent might be, like everything that came before, these hands shall do. And the surprises only grow stranger. From what hell spawned such a mistake? Though I would lie if I did not appreciate the beauty within your form. An ancient feminine visage, so removed from any earthly beast. This kin's tenacity to survive here cannot be allowed to be diminished. Though if we are to see whose tenacity is superior between the two of us, then these hands shall do. We have truly reached a disturbing level of horrors if a desiccated corpse is the most ordinary enemy that has tasted these hands in several hours. What is this twisted place that I find myself in? I suppose it does little good to focus on anything but the fight at hand, if I might even consider this a fight in comparison to many of the beasts this journey has already brought me against. Once again, these hands shall do.
Oh, right, me again. We're almost through. We'd already killed Ludwig to get that Fist of Grata left-handed weapon, which has not been useful at all. Go figure. Even when trying to go full melee. It has terrible scaling, can't be buffed with blood gems, and only has a single attack that doesn't set up for a riposte. Honestly, there was no need to come here that early, but we can clear out the rest of the place now.
Take it away, these hands, with gusto. And we can start with these deflated versions of the emissary I already defeated earlier. Tell me, failures, if your true selves couldn't defeat me, then how do any of you expect to taste these fists and survive? Exactly. You can't. and so as many times as it takes for each of you, one after the next, these hands shall continue to do.
A corpse should be left well alone.
Greetings, my fine lady. I see this is not your first time on the field of battle, neither with beasts or with one more of your own size. Ah, the blood. Its scent is intoxicating. Please, strip me of my weakness. Melt me, smelt me, and forge me anew in the crucible of combat as our weapons clash together. Your swords, rusted with the blood of your enemies, and my knuckles, cracked on the bones of mine. But let it be known, O valorous warrior, you shall stand against the greatest to have learned this truth. These hands shall do. Haven't I already faced you before? So even the dead might come back to haunt us in this old nightmare. Well then, beast, let this be your final expression of passion. Let the fires in your heart shine bright enough to burn this cathedral to ashes. Send this monument to the failures of the Healing Church into oblivion with the hellfire that consumes you now. But before the flames can take you as well, then know that these hands shall do. An ambush! How dare you! Your teeth bear the mark of an honorable hunter, the apex of its selective niche. To turn to such deceptive tactics, I suppose I should be impressed for the clever strategy. Still, to counter such savage tactics, these hands shall do. I honestly can't believe that this worked out. I've never managed to kill these two without the Shaman Bone Blade, and these hands did it with the Stake Driver on the first fucking try. What is going on with this build? I enjoy your style, Hunter of Hunters. And if you are so concerned with finding me on every step of my path, then perhaps I should come for you, deep in your cell, and make mine what was once yours. Horns aren't always my preferred look, but these threads shall do. Why must this world taunt me with such fights, only to end my triumph by forcing me to kill a child and its parents once more? Such inescapable cruelty cannot be allowed to continue. This world and the nightmares within must burn. So fight for your life, O orphan of this felled great one. Fight to remind the world that you did live, that you were born, that this world continues to bear your mark now
and will until long after you are gone. Fight, because that is all we can do until the day comes when I come, and remind you that these hands shall do.
Oh, it doesn't matter. Misses.
And so we finally arrive to the end of this long line. You wish to send me back to the city, Gehrman? Cast me out of this dream? No. It is your time that has come, and it will be I, your final hunter, who will free you from this endless hunt, this horrid nightmare. And when I am finished, then I will hunt down your master and kill it too. So move on beyond this unending madness, and if that must be by force, then fine. These hands shall do. Ah, the true power behind the throne. I'll make this quick, so that this rotten nightmare might soon know what true power is. To that end, these hands shall do. Okay, and we're wrapped up with the game, and these hands has headed home. But the more inquisitive of you might be curious, how exactly did this build become so strong with the stake driver that our punch goblin was able to rip through everything from Ebritus to Orphan of Kos? Well, the answer in this case is the Chalice dungeons. In fact, we actually traveled through several Chalice dungeons on the way through this playthrough. And while I could have broken up the pacing to talk about it in the actual order I went, the Chalice progression was so disjointed that it would have kind of ruined the whole pace of the video. Also, now, Prakuza here gets to give a bit of a deeper description than these hands could have. Which is to say, I wanted to put the bit on the back burner to go over the Chalice dungeons for a little while longer. First is the obvious, the Cum dungeon. CUMMMFPK to be exact, which acts as a passive farm and allows for blood echoes earned from fighting to be centered entirely on levels. Since I can jump in for the passive farm to get tons of blood vials and anything else I need, like fire or bolt paper. An internet connection is required to get into this or any other specific dungeons that are not the shared dungeons on the general path of progression moving forward. I will note though that for a run like this, I don't generally use the Cum dungeon for levels, only for consumables. That being said, even keeping the utilization for only things like blood vials or the fire and bolt paper completely breaks the blood echo economy, since the game is expecting you to have to use a good chunk of your rewards for each level on those materials. From here, we have 4 paths that we can take into any of the 4 Chalice dungeons, but for this run we only really focus on 2, since they are the ones most relevant to absolutely breaking this game to pieces. First is the Tumerian Chalice, which is found as the reward for beating the blood-starved beast. This is our primary Chalice path, with 5 whole 3-layer dungeons to dive through. Second is the Loran Chalice path, which is found as the reward for beating Amygdala. This is where some unique items can be found, like the Beast Claws. But we'll mostly only be heading down into these for some Chalice ritual materials, along with our first set of Cursed Blood Gems to supercharge our stake driver. The very first Chalice dungeon is pretty simple and easy. Like I mentioned before, the Chalice for getting in here is rewarded for killing the blood-starved beast, and the ritual blood needed to access the dungeon is found in Old Yharnam. All 3 bosses here are unique to the dungeons, but some of them are a little less interesting than others. These include the Undead Giant, the Merciless Watchers, and most importantly, the Watchdog of the Old Lords. It's the 3rd boss that will give us the progression deeper into the dungeons, but also the Watchdog is absolutely the most boss-like boss of this first dungeon. and is a bit of a problem for the stake driver, as the most consistent strategy for this guy is usually to smash his face in with a transformed axe. However, if you're strong enough when you come in here, the same strat that breaks most beast bosses also works on the Watchdog, as rotating through each of its limbs and breaking them one by one can keep it mostly stun-locked until we get the kill. After killing the Watchdog, we're given access to Central Tumeru, which gives us another 2 layers of pretty okay bosses, with the Beast-Possessed Soul, the boss version of the same enemy type found at the bottom of the tower that opens up after beating Bloodstarved Beast, and the Keeper of the Old Lords, an NPC fight that uses a katana and pyromancy that gives my own ninja run from a few weeks ago a run for his money. Again though, the real boss of this area is in Layer 3, which introduces the Tumerian Descendant. This is one of those, why couldn't this be in the base game type bosses. Stands right up there with Lady Maria and Martyr Ligarius among the top tier fast-paced humanoid bosses. I understand that lore-wise he doesn't belong anywhere besides the Chalice dungeons, but he deserves a more prominent spot like the end of the Forsaken Forest instead of the Shadows of Yharnam. That's spitballing, by the way, not an actual suggestion to be taken seriously unless a modder wants to start moving bosses around. I understand that From Software has their reasons for their placements in specific places, and I really don't want to get in the way of any of that. To end our current progress in the Tumeru Chalice dungeons, we can head into Lower Tumeru after beating the Tumerian Descendant. This is around where the Chalice dungeons start to really earn themselves the negative reputation they have among more casual fans of the series, who don't often dive deeper into the further depths of the Chalice dungeons, because we're already getting repeated bosses. Not only in the form of the Merciless Watchers and Undead Giant again, but also with Rom returning from the base game. A very strange enemy to have be repeated. On the note of the Undead Giant though, in this dungeon however, I do want to mention that this one is at least a more complex fight than the first time we faced off against him. The new objects chained to him gives his attacks a similar follow-up to Maria in Phase 2 or 3. It's extremely annoying, and the damage seems to always catch mid-dodge and deal instability damage, but it's at least an evolution on the original. I always appreciate additive iteration, even if I don't personally like the fight. However, this Chalice also introduces us to the first 4-layer dungeon and ends with the extremely lore-critical Bloodletting Beast. Now, how does this boss stack up as an actual fight? It's pretty fun. I honestly have very little to say about it, but at least that means nothing negative. A good new, harder version of like the Cleric Beast, kind of, if you squint. While killing the Bloodletting Beast has given us the Defiled Chalice to continue the Tumerian path, we need to take a detour for a few reasons, but mostly the fact that we need extra materials in order to even get into those extra Chalice dungeons. In that case, we'll take the Ailing Loran Chalice we got from Amygdala in the Nightmare Frontier, and use it to get to the next level of Loran dungeons. To do this, we need to beat up some bosses we've already seen, like again, the Beast-Possessed Soul, and another Bloodstarved Beast. But at Layer 3, we do get our first fight against an Abhorrent Beast. You might recognize this as the true form of the Beggar Man from the latter part of Hemwick Charnel Lane, if you choose to either fight him there or outside of Odin Chapel. We sent him to Yosefka in the base game of this run. That lets us get the rune drop off of him a little bit easier, since all we have to kill is one Celestial Emissary. This fight is extremely difficult, and a great chance to get this fight in a legit arena. Frustrating, but again, a better highlight of the boss than what we get in the base game. Feels like a necessary upgrade. I could certainly imagine myself liking this a lot more with a better build, something that can actually parry it, and perhaps a weapon that has a bit more range than the stake driver. The Lower Loran Chalice is then the reward for beating the Abhorrent Beast, and gets us one step closer to our eventual major power-up. First though, we need to fight a completely normal enemy with a boss health bar, another, more difficult Abhorrent Beast, and finally the Loran Dark Beast, a stronger version of Dark Beast Parl. But at this point, we're way stronger too, and can blast through the fight pretty easily. Now that we've unlocked Lower Loran and the Lower Loran Root Chalice from the Loran Dark Beast, we have one more step for our final power-up. This starts by heading deep into the darkest depths of depravity imaginable. Reddit forum posts. Although, at least in this case, we get to go to the Tomb Prospector subreddit, which is one of the most helpful and friendly From Software associated subreddits I have ever found. Seriously, every post I ran into was almost entirely positive, uplifting, and helpful for people running into problems. At least in my experience, there was almost no gatekeeping, and this was a wonderful font of information regarding the Chalice dungeons. Anyway, this leads us into the wacky and weird world of false depth dungeons. Online dungeons that have depth 5 materials and drops, but are available from the higher/easier depths for some reason. Honestly, this entire type of dungeon and the Tomb Prospectors in general deserve their own much larger video. I might be making later, hold on, let me cook. This leads us to dungeon WXNCG3SG, which lets us run around, grab a bunch of materials, and get access to the real Depth 5 dungeons and their cursed variants in order to reach our real goal. That's right, we're farming blood gems, which is to say, we're heading around to areas like 5, 6, 4, 2, 8 ADR, and using this to farm extremely powerful blood gems to slot into our stake driver. The actual best gems are generally found in the Great Tumeru Ihil Chalice dungeons, but for now, the lower Loran ones will get us as strong as we need. It takes a while, like several hours, to actually get some usable drops, but it's enough to get us strong enough to deal the crazy damage we saw back in the base game, against the likes of Orphan and Gehrman. But it also means we can get through the final 2 Tumerian dungeons. First off, I'm not a huge fan of the Defiled Chalice. I don't hate the idea of the cursed dungeons entirely. The extra challenge would be fine to have the option to dive into, but I don't really enjoy having to go through one in order to get through to the final dungeon. It feels kinda unnecessary, especially since 2 specific bosses will one-shot me while I've already hit the Vigor soft cap. I mean, there's a reason I'm not part of Team No Hit. I'm not that good at these games. So that makes this dungeon's repeated bosses even more miserable. But we summon a couple friendly NPCs and move on. For the finale, we finally get the Great Tumeru Ihil, which pits us against even more repeated boss fights, including another Tumerian descendant and a headless variant of the Bloodletting Beast. However, at the very end, we get Yharnam, Tumerian Queen, the reward for going through all of this trouble, and I gotta say, it's totally worth it. This fight is pretty sick and a wonderful way to cap off the hours-long campaign through the Chalice dungeons. Even if the layers can get repetitive at times, this and the blood gem farming are certainly worth the experience. I mean it, don't let the bad reputations for the Chalice dungeons lead you astray. This stuff really fun to dive into once you get into it. Hey, it's that time again. The end of the video where I invite folks to come check out the Patreon, link in the description, and make good on the rewards for those currently pledged. Patreon members get early access to new content and their names written in the credits at the end of videos. And those who pledge in the top tiers get their names read out, like our DevBox designers, Genghis Braun, and our DevBox developers, Azul. Thanks for your support, and thanks for watching.
Are you cold? Oh, good hunter.